I speak for His Excellency the President, and I double as Minister responsible for government communications. I will be your host for this evening's program. Tonight's presidential media encounter has been designed as part of the broader effort to deepen transparency and accountability in governance and bring governance close to the people. In the last few months, we have staged the Government Accountability Series, through which various sector ministers have briefed the nation on the performance of government in the last 8 months or so. Today, we take it a notch higher by opening up the president himself for scrutiny by the people of Ghana through the power of the media. So let me, at this stage, welcome you warmly on behalf of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana. We are joined by senior officials at the presidency and ministers of state. We have in our midst the Chief of Staff, Honorable Julius Debra. We also have the Honorable Minister for Education, Honorable Haruna, the Minister for Roads and Highways, Honorable Kwame Govins-Agboja, and the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Fifi Fiavi Kwete. We also have other senior presidential staffers and appointees of government. I now have the unusual task of introducing to you a man who requires no introduction, because he is arguably the most recognizable figure in Ghana today. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana. Shall we give him a round of applause, please? So tonight's program, I beg your pardon, is in 2 parts. His Excellency will kickstart it by giving an opening remark in which he will outline a few of the things that have been happening since he took over the reins of government. After which, we will delve straight into a question and answer session where media, men and women present, will be afforded an opportunity to probe into the workings of government. At this stage, I would humbly invite His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, to give his opening remarks. Shall we give him a round of applause, please?
Thank you very much. And let me say a warm welcome to all you members of the media, very distinguished gentlemen and ladies. Let me just acknowledge my president, the president of the GJA, and all of you who are here. Fellow countrymen and women, I pledge to be transparent and accountable to the people of Ghana and to keep them abreast with the state of affairs at every juncture in my term of office. I'm pleased to have the opportunity through this media encounter to address the good people of Ghana through you and answer any questions that may be on the public's mind. It's been 8 months since I was sworn into office, and 9 months since you, the people of Ghana, went to the polls and gave me a clear, resounding mandate to lead our country into a new era. Beyond affirming your confidence in the policies and programs we proposed, it was a national reawakening. That December 7th vote was a call not just for leadership, but for a change of direction, for honesty, for accountability, and for a reset. It was for a different kind of governance, one that listens and one that acts, and one that cares. And so on January 7, 2025, when I took the oath of office, I did so with full awareness of the weight of that moment. I knew we had inherited a nation that was tired of excuses by the political elite, weighed down by hardship and yearning for leadership that does not just promise, but performs. For the past 8 months, we've demonstrated that we're not here to continue business as usual. We're here to reset Ghana, to restore the soul of our nation, to revive its economy, reignite the spirit of hope and possibility in every Ghanaian. Through our prudent and people-centered economic management plan, we've slashed nuisance taxes, We've rescued our power sector and averted the Doomsor crisis, which was handed over to us. We've lowered the exchange rate, eased the burden of doing business, and reduced the cost of living for the average Ghanaian. Inflation has dropped to a record 4-year low, signaling renewed macroeconomic stability. We've made the highest allocation to basic education in nearly half a decade. In health, much needed funds have been released to fund the health insurance scheme. Medical supplies are flowing steadily. Community health delivery is being prioritized, and the Ghana Medical Trust Fund was launched to help Ghanaians bear the cost of treating chronic diseases. Only yesterday, I approved the governing board of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, which the Honorable Minister of Health will soon inaugurate. A renewed focus on agriculture, particularly through youth-targeted interventions, irrigation expansion, and the revitalization of the Land and Farm Bank project, is positioning Ghana to be food secure and export competitive. We've also laid the groundwork for a digital Ghana through strategic investment in science and technology and innovation through the 1 Million Coders program. These strides are not isolated. They are part of a clear, deliberate national reset that is restoring hope, creating opportunity, and ushering in an era of shared prosperity for all. My comrades, the education sector remains central to our reset agenda, as we firmly believe that the future of our country hinges on an empowered, knowledgeable, and skilled population. And so 3 months ago, I launched the no-fee stress policy, refunding fees to 120,000 first-year students in public tertiary institutions in Ghana. It signaled a decisive break from the painful era when dreams of brilliant but vulnerable young Ghanaians were cut short simply because they could not afford to pay fees, especially at that critical period of admission where they either pay or lose the chance at further education. We're not stopping there. The no-fee stress policy is intrinsically linked to our broader student loan plus policy, which will ensure that no student is left behind in subsequent years of study. Under this policy, students from low-income households will have access to flexible and dignified financing options to complete their tertiary education without the burden of unbearable debt or financial uncertainty. The implementation of the free tertiary education policy for persons with disability has commenced, removing a key barrier to higher learning and affirming our belief that education must be a right and not a privilege for every Ghanaian, regardless of their physical ability. To give life to our commitment to foster a knowledge-based economy, we've established the Ghana National Research Fund with an initial allocation of 50 million cedis. This is a step towards deepening research and innovation across all sectors: science, technology, humanities, and the arts. For far too long, much of the research conducted by our brilliant academics has been funded by foreign institutions, with the unfortunate outcome that the intellectual property and findings are often owned abroad. With this fund, we will slowly but certainly reverse that narrative by empowering our own researchers and ensuring that Ghana owns the knowledge and innovations produced by its intellectuals. As part of our commitment to research excellence, we offer full scholarships annually to 5 PhD candidates at every university in Ghana. By investing in our thinkers, we're investing in our future and asserting our intellectual sovereignty. In furtherance of our commitments to inclusion and dignity, we have distributed over 6 million sanitary pads to our girl children in primary and secondary schools to keep them in school and help them end period poverty. Contrary to the widespread misinformation that was circulated before December 7, 2024, the free SHS policy has not only been maintained, indeed it has been strengthened. We've made the highest budgetary allocation in the history of the policy, as at now. A staggering 3.5 billion Ghana cedis has been dedicated to the free SHS. We understand that access without quality is inadequate, and that's why we're implementing the decentralization of feeding policy to allow the management of schools to make their own feeding arrangements to provide students with quality meals. Our commitment to foundational learning is equally strong. Basic education has received its highest budget allocation in almost a decade, reflecting our determination to rebuild the educational ladder from the ground up, with 564.6 million allocated so far for textbooks. We are addressing long-standing challenges in the system, particularly those caused by the reduced funding of the recent past. Fellow countrymen and women, we've also turned our attention with equal urgency to the health and well-being of our people. In 2025 alone, the national health budget increased by 13.4%, rising from 15.6 billion Ghana cedis to 17.8 billion cedis, one of the most significant increases in recent years. This bold step reflects our recognition of the urgent need to strengthen Ghana's healthcare system in the face of both domestic demands and global health risks. We've uncapped the NHIL and made 66% increase in funding to the National Health Insurance Scheme from 5.9 billion Ghana cedis to 9.8 billion Ghana cedis in 2025. This is not just a budget line, it's a life-saving commitment. These funds will help expand coverage, improve claims processing, and ensure that every Ghanaian, especially the poor and vulnerable, has access to affordable quality health care. The sudden withdrawal of $156 million in US aid health support, which previously sustained critical programs in malaria, HIV and AIDS, and child health, presented a serious fiscal and public health challenge. In response, we have readjusted our domestic expenditure priorities and ensured that the domestic safety nets are provided to cover the gap that occurred. To further bridge access gaps and enhance service delivery, government is investing over 2 billion Ghana cedis in healthcare infrastructure between now and 2028. This includes an initial 200 million cedis allocation in the 2025 budget to accelerate construction, expansion, and modernization of hospitals, clinics, and health centers nationwide. Whether in remote rural communities or high-density urban centers, our aim is the same: a health facility within reach of every Ghanaian. Cabinet is awaiting a report from the Honorable Minister of Health on the status and stage of completion of the Agenda 111 hospitals to determine a way forward for their completion. Our approach to economic management goes beyond improving the macroeconomic indicators. It's about making the Ghanaian household feel the impact in their everyday lives. As the popular saying goes, the real economy is not in statistics, but in the pockets of the people. And that is why I take pride not only in the clear signs of recovery and stability, but in the direct relief Ghanaians are experiencing from our economic policies. Today we are seeing a stabilization in the price of goods and services, with inflation dropping significantly from 23.8% in December 2024 to 11.5% in July 2025. The lowest inflation rate recorded since December 2021. But this isn't just about numbers, it's about being felt across markets and homes. The prices of key commodities are falling, and for the first time in years, brands and businesses are actively advertising their price reductions, a sign that recovery is not only real but tangible. Official trade associations have presented data to Parliament that shows that up to 4,500 different items on the market have seen varied price reductions. We've stayed current with our bond repayment obligations. In a significant endorsement of Ghana's economic recovery efforts, global credit rating agencies, S&P Global Ratings, have upgraded Ghana's country credit risk from junk to B- with a stable outlook, reflecting renewed investor confidence and the positive momentum in economic management. To maintain this positive momentum of our economic recovery, we're increasing Ghana's productivity through bold job-creating initiatives. And one of the most transformative among them is our 24-hour economy initiative, a policy that is designed to boost micro and small and medium enterprise, modernize agriculture, and expand employment opportunities across key sectors. This initiative is not just about keeping the lights on longer, it is about unlocking new shifts of productivity, widening access to jobs, and building a resilient, inclusive economy that works for all. Only yesterday, Cabinet approved for onward submission to Parliament the 24-hour authority bill. Already we are seeing key institutions take the lead in actualizing the 24-hour economy vision. The Ghana Publishing Company has transitioned to a full 24-hour operation. The Passport Office and Ghana's foreign missions have also rolled out round-the-clock services to expedite passport processing and improve service delivery. At our ports, both Tema and Takrady are now operating 24 hours to boost trade efficiency and reduce congestion. To guarantee safety within this evolving ecosystem, a dedicated 24-hour economy policing secretariat has been established in the Ministry of Interior to provide continuous security support across the country. These bold steps signal a clear national commitment to building a resilient, inclusive, and job-rich economy. To ensure legal and operational readiness, Cabinet has approved critical amendments to the GIPC Act and the Labour Act, which now include provisions that enable and regulate 24-hour economic activity. These legal reforms will ensure that businesses, investors, and workers alike are supported by a framework that protects rights while encouraging innovation and growth. Complementing this agenda, we have rolled out the Jumara program and the National Apprenticeship program, both of which are expanding pathways to employment, particularly for our young people and artisans. These programs are equipping thousands with the skills, tools, and opportunities they need to succeed in today's job market. Thousands of young Ghanaians are currently undergoing training under the 1 Million Coders program, our bold strategic initiative to build Ghana's digital talent base and prepare our youth for the jobs of the future. This program is equipping participants not just to access digital jobs, but to create sustainable employment opportunities through innovation, entrepreneurship, and global ICT competitiveness. Additionally, in the extractive sector, the Gold Board is formalizing Ghana's gold trade. As of today, gold trading is a reserve for only Ghanaians. This strategic move will help maximize national benefits, enhance transparency, and ensure that the wealth generated from our natural resources is reinvested in our communities and national development. We're also taking decisive action to protect our environment and natural resources from destruction. A dedicated national task force is currently in place, actively combating the menace of illegal mining. As a result of their operations, hundreds of excavators, water pumps, and other heavy equipment have been seized, disrupting the networks that have long exploited our lands and our rivers. In addition to enforcement, we are reclaiming what has been lost. 9 forest reserves have been successfully recovered from the grip of illegal miners, restoring these vital ecosystems under state protection. Our Tree for Life initiative is being actively rolled out across the country, targeting the restoration of lands degraded by illegal mining activities. Steps are currently underway to repeal LI 2462 to formalize our commitment to end mining in forest reserves. Let me be clear, since my administration resumed office, not a single license has been issued to any company to mine in our forest reserves. The repeal of LI 2462 is therefore intended just to crystallize in law what we have already demonstrated in practice, which is our commitment to protect these forest reserves. My friends, I understand that public accountability and the recovery of looted state resources are at the top of your expectations from my government. And let me assure you, my fellow citizens, that we've not wavered in our commitment for even a moment. Neither have we been complacent. What you are witnessing is not inaction, it is our steadfast adherence to due diligence, due process, and fairness in the pursuit of justice. Yes, our insistence on doing things the right way may afford those who have looted this country some temporary relief, but let me be clear, it will not grant them permanent escape. Across multiple fronts, active pursuits and prosecutions are well underway under the Operation Recover All the Loot. Over 200 cases are under active investigation, with about 80 people interrogated so far. Several prosecutions have begun, progressing steadily and remaining firmly on course. In the Republic versus Edubuan and 3 others, the state has submitted witness statements together with all other documents, and trial has commenced. And the first of 3 prosecution witnesses have been called and have been cross-examined by counsel for the accused person. With the SkyTrain case, for instance, the prosecutors have secured a trial date, as all preliminary matters have been concluded and the trial is set to commence. For the National Service Authority case, due to its expansive nature, charges have been drafted and will be filed as soon as the legal year begins against the following person: the Republic versus Osei Sibe, the Republic versus Eric Nyaku, the Republic versus Gifty Owari. Also for the National Cathedral, we are awaiting a forensic audit from the Auditor General. Additionally, charges have been drafted and are ready for filing in the case of Republic versus Wuntumi and Akunta Mining. The Economic and Organized Crime Office, IOCO, is finalizing its report with respect to Exim Bank transactions. Dockets are in preparation for the buffer stock case and the drip equipment case. Investigations are ongoing into the African Cup of Nations case, the Mart Set case, and approximately 20 other cases currently. Let me be clear, every single case of corruption that needs to be investigated is being looked into. And once evidence is found to ground the prosecution, that will happen and happen swiftly. Looking within, we launched a code of conduct for public officials with an insistence on strict compliance. A high-level working group has been inaugurated to draft a new anti-corruption strategy aimed at strengthening ethical governance and institutional coordination. My fellow citizens, the scourge of Galamsey is receiving much attention. We've established the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, as the Central Operations Command Center coordinating the national fight against illegal mining and its associated environmental degradation. In a coordinated effort across all security agencies and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, 440 excavators have been seized. Over 1,400 arrests have been made, with suspects awaiting prosecution. Over 300 Shamfang machines have been confiscated and destroyed. Over 900 water pumps seized from illegal mining sites have been handed over to the Ministry of Agriculture for distribution to farmers for irrigation purposes. Of Ghana's 288 forest reserves, 44 had previously suffered varying degrees of destruction from illegal mining. Notably, 9 of those reserves had become no-go zones due to the presence of armed groups. Through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and with support from the security agencies, we've successfully repossessed all 9 of these red-zoned forest reserves. However, over the weekend, the Jimira Forest Reserve and the Anwia Futu section of the Offense Shelter Belt was reinvaded by illegal miners after these were handed back to the Forestry Commission. The military is currently working with NIMOS to repossess those reserves and establish a permanent presence in those liberated forest reserves to prevent re-incursion by illegal miners. 980 personnel have been recruited, trained and deployed in the western and savannah regions. They conduct daily operations on major river bodies, serving as community vanguards to ward off illegal mining activities. An additional 1,020 personnel will be recruited and deployed by the end of the year, bringing the total force to 2,000 blue water guards. The next phase will focus on dechemicalizing and restoring our water bodies to their pristine state. Feasibility studies for this critical restoration efforts are currently underway. In collaboration with the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Finance, GRA Customs Division, and the Ports and Harbours Authority, we've instituted a system for the proactive tracking of all imported excavators and earth-moving equipment from the port of entry. 1,200 excavators are going through the permitting process from the Transport Ministry, clearance from Customs registration with DVLA, and tracking at the Minerals Commission. So far, we've registered 1,015 earth-moving and mining equipment. 647 have been registered and fitted with tracking devices. There are an additional 600 equipment at the port awaiting clearance. An additional 350 tracking devices are expected by September 12, 2025 to enhance this monitoring effort. The Constitutional Review Commission is actively engaging stakeholders across the country, gathering views on how best to shape the future framework of Ghana's democracy. This inclusive approach ensures that voices of citizens, civil society, and institutions are reflected in the evolving constitutional order. Friends, internal security is important for economic progress. Pursuant to our commitment to improving security, we have earmarked 1 billion Ghana cedis to retool our security agencies. The Ministry of Energy has recently granted a declaration of commerciality for the Eban Akoma oil and gas discoveries in Cape 3 Points, Block 4, confirming their commercial viability. This paves the way for the joint venture partners ENI Vitol, Woodfields, and the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation to proceed with a full plan of development of this oil well. This milestone brings us closer to increased oil and gas production, job creation, and enhanced energy security, reinforcing our commitment to responsible resource management for the benefit of all Ghanaians. We've also approved the construction of a second gas processing plant, GPP2, to double our national processing capacity and set the stage for cheaper, cleaner, and more reliable power generation. This landmark project alone is expected to save the country close to $500 million every 2 years by drastically cutting our reliance on expensive imported liquid fuel. Beyond the cost reduction, it is projected to create over 1,000 direct and indirect jobs, fueling both industry and livelihoods. We can all attest to the fact that the looming threat of Dumsor we inherited in January this year has been averted. Through strategic interventions and swift action, power supply has remained stable across the country, ensuring uninterrupted electricity for households, businesses, and essential services. We've made significant strides in restoring fiscal decentralization. In the past 8 years, only 40% to 50% of the District Assembly's Common Fund was reaching metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, constraining their capacity to deliver local services. Our government has reversed this trend. District assemblies are now receiving 80% of their allocation directly. Of the 7.57 billion allocated for DACF this year, approximately 6.1 billion has gone straight to local assemblies, with a minimum of 25 million allocated to each MMDA. Already the first quarter disbursement of 903 billion to the National Health Insurance Fund and 2.71 billion to GET Fund, covering NHIS arrears and free SHS, have been released in full, underscoring our commitment to public service delivery and local empowerment. Next week, I'll cut the sword in 3 locations to signal the start of the Big Push program. The first phase understandably covers mainly the road sector. Everyone will admit that over the last 8 years, our road infrastructure has deteriorated remarkably. This year alone, almost 14 billion Ghana cedis of our oil and gold revenues have been earmarked for the Big Push program. Critical road projects such as the Ofanko and Sawam roads, which were chronically underfunded, have been transferred under the Big Push program and recently received a release of almost 1 billion cedis to ensure speedy completion by the end of second quarter of next year. My media colleagues, our reset agenda remains on course, and I've remained unwavering in my commitment not only to the promise I made to you in the run-up to the 2024 elections, but to the principles of honesty, transparency, and probity and accountability that define good governance. I'm resolute in laying foundations for economic recovery, resetting our institutions to reflect the demands of modern governance and enhanced service delivery for every Ghanaian. I'm driven by a deep determination to see the dreams of our forebears for an economically independent and self-reliant Ghana realized in our lifetime. I'm equally determined to restore Ghana's rightful place as a respected voice and actor on the global stage. With your continued trust and support, I'm confident that we will not only meet these goals, but also build a nation that serves the hopes of this generation and the aspirations of generations yet unborn. May God bless us all, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana. I thank